Okay, we're going to try something a little different here. I'm going to do some experimenting. So I have to gather up my materials. First thing I need is something to experiment with. This is a pretty ratty comic. It's got some really bad water staining on the back. I'm going to see if we can't get some of that off. See if it'll come out. I don't recommend you try this, but I like to play around with things all the time. What we're going to use the comic, cotton swabs. We're going to try distilled white vinegar to see what it does. This is diluted with water to 5% acidity. We're going to try some 3% hydrogen peroxide, because why not? I have it around. We're going to try some denatured alcohol because I have it around. And the one thing you definitely, I don't think, want near your comic books, we're going to try some bleach. I'll try it both full strength out of the bottle and diluted. This is a concentrated, so it ought to really react with the comic interestingly. And I'm forgetting, oh yeah, the most important thing of all, my coffee. Now let's get started. Take this little cup here, and I'm going to put a little bit of vinegar in it. Take a cotton swab. And down here in the corner, which I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Just zoom all the way in. I'm going to put it on the stain and see if it does anything. Let me... Of course it got it wet. I didn't mention it, but I also have some kitchen towels or paper towels so that I can try to dry it off as quickly as possible, absorb any excess moisture. And I also have a microfiber cloth. And it doesn't appear to have done anything. So, while it's great for cleaning rusted staples, I don't think it really has any effect on the comic, on the water in the comic. Now I'm using the dry end of the, try to get it to dry off. I figure the worst that can happen is it'll make it worse, in which case it's not a big deal. So vinegar doesn't appear to have had any effect. If anything, it made it worse. No, maybe a little bit better. Set that off to the side, get another one. This time we're going to try a little bit of peroxide. And I'm using them full strength to start with, well, full strength out of the bottles. We're going to try this spot here So I'll try to center that a little bit better and see if it does anything to it. Again, I don't recommend you do stuff like this unless you have... I mean, I bought a batch of comics just so I could experiment like this. And that appears to have had no effect whatsoever, other than getting it wet. Going back here to the vinegar, it does look like it helped it a tiny bit. Huh. I don't think it did anything to that. Next we're going to try, if I can get it open, the denatured alcohol. And I'm going to see if I can just dip it down in there. Yeah, it has enough in there that I was able to just dip it into in there. And I'm going to try something up here. I'm going to try this ink. See if it'll do anything to this ink. This stuff will dry really fast. And it does appear to have had an effect on that ink. It made it a whole lot lighter. I wonder what it'll do to a stain. Go back down here, and we're going to go to this spot. I already tried this one with the peroxide. It didn't do anything, so we're going to try this spot right here. And I'm trying to stay on the white because I'm fairly certain that it'll do a number on the colors. I mean, if it took that other ink off, it would probably take the ink off the comic too. And it doesn't appear to have done anything to that, although interesting that it definitely had an effect on this ink here. Let's see how much of that ink I can get off. I have some writing on some comics that really annoys me, and it's in ballpoint like that. And if this will take it off or fade it to the point where you can barely see it, that would be a good thing. It really appears to have been doing a number on that. Let me get another one. I want to try something else. What effect does it have on comic ink, if any? It is definitely taking it off. Or did it just take off dirt? I'm sure it took some of it off, but I can't really tell. Don't think it removed enough of it to make a difference. But it definitely was doing a number on this. It didn't do anything to the stain. But that's interesting. It's not what I expected it to do. I didn't think it would do anything to this ink, but it definitely faded it out pretty good. I might have to try that on a couple other things where I have people wrote their name on it, and I'd like to fade it out to that point to where you can barely see it. Now for the thing that I'm not too crazy about doing, because I'm sure the bleach is going to have an effect. An effect I'm probably not interested in. Now I'm just putting this in the top, just a little tiny bit. We're going to try full strength first, and then I'm going to dilute it with some water. And we'll try it right here. Move this over. Yeah, right here. In this part of the stain, and see what happens. Give it a few seconds to work. It's definitely having an effect on the stain. Try another area. As you can see, it fades the stain a little bit, but it also bleaches out the white a little more than what you want, and it feels like it's actually deteriorated the paper slightly. Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely not done the comic any good in either spot that I tried it in. As you can, if you look carefully here, you get a clean one. This part that has the bleach on it is super white, where it wasn't before. It was slightly dirty, and here it's just real rough now. But then again, that could be the peroxide and the bleach together. All in all, I don't think using bleach on a comic is a good idea. None of these methods did anything for the stain. The bleach did the most, but it also deteriorated the comic the most. But we did find out a possible way to get rid of the ballpoint pen. So I'm going to experiment some more with that later on, and I'll let you know what happens. In the meantime, we definitely want to keep our keep bleach away from our comics. Peroxide doesn't do anything. Now, if I had a gummy area on here, I could use lighter fluid to take that off. Lighter fluid actually will do that and not to destroy the comic. People use that for boxes all the time, to take the gum residue off boxes, and it works for comics too. I don't do it myself. I have other methods that I use, but yeah. The bleach definitely did not do what we wanted it to. The stain's still there, but it also bleached out part of the comic itself. Over on this side, you can see the 7 and 5 that were just as dark as the 3. The rest of the number are faded to the point where you can just barely see them. So we did find something good out of all of this, and that's why I do experiments, is to find out what we can do. And that's why I buy old messed up comic books that are not worth anything, so that I can experiment. So that's it for this video. I'm going to release this as a special, and the next video I release, or the next video that I make, will be 20 more Star Wars toys, some of which I've already shown, and some other things. So that's it for today, and for this video, and see you next time. Bye. Don't forget, wash your hands. I almost forgot. I got a comic book update for you. Remember this? This comic book, the one that I scratched up and bent and did all kinds of nasty things that was mint? Well, I had it in this. As you can see, it's got a tearing spot because I just tore the backing board off of it. And I didn't actually set it in the window. I set it off to the side of the window. That way it gets UV rays, but it doesn't get them direct. And I wanted to see what happened. Well, here's what happened. As you can see, even not being in direct sunlight for 3 or 4 months definitely had an effect. The brown that it was here is now a bluish color. So it doesn't have to be direct sunlight to affect your comic. And I had it in a poly bag, and poly bag is supposed to protect it a little tiny bit. No. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to turn it upside down, put it back in, and this time I'm going to stick it in a Mylar. See if the Mylar protects it any better. We'll stick it in a Mylar just like that. Let me go grab a Mylar. Okay, I'm back. Now this is a 4mm Mylar. I figured we'd give it as much protection as possible. I normally use 2mm now for my comics, but figured 4mm will easily allow it to have both boards in there. And putting it in upside down. And this has been in there since what? I think January or February. So we'll take a look at it around November or December and see what happens. Don't forget, wash your hands. It's good for your comics. Good for your collectibles. Good for your health. And keep chemicals away from your comics. Bye.